Hello and welcome. Coronavirus is a public health crisis that is quickly becoming an unprecedented economic crisis. With Zimbabwe on a 21-day national lockdown and very high prospects of an extension, do businesses have adequate liquidity to weather the corona storm? What happens to payment of statutory taxes, levies, and dues along with employee salaries during this lockdown? For an in-depth analysis, welcome and stay tuned. My name is Reginald. Please subscribe to my channel, Fifth Row with Reggie. In response to the global coronavirus pandemic, Zimbabwe is embarked on a 21-day national lockdown to combat the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Most businesses have had to close down completely, with those who could work from home being encouraged to do so. Exceptions were given to sectors that were deemed to be essential, like the medical field, security services, and food supplies. Ultimately, all businesses, including players in the formal sector, were affected. The move has slowed down, in most cases brought to a halt all economic activities, with the net effect being loss of income for businesses, for workers in both the formal and informal sector, as well as the self-employed. The hardest hit are companies classified as non-essential service providers and the informal sector, which is by far the largest contributor to people's livelihoods, and considering that most of the people in this sector survive from hand to mouth. Now, we all know that most businesses in Zimbabwe have been operating at below capacity and operating in a hyperinflationary environment. Faced with the current challenges, business representative bodies have made recommendations to the government of Zimbabwe to consider some form of relief or moratoriums in terms of tax obligations such as tax holidays, tax threshold reductions, waiver of penalties and interest for late payment of tax. Other recommendations included the need for the government to abandon wasteful subsidies and allow the exchange rate to float freely. On employee salaries, the government of Zimbabwe says it is not in a position to force the private sector employers to pay their workers' salaries during the COVID-19 national lockdown. This is a development that is likely to affect the livelihood of most employees. However, the Minister of Labour and Social Welfare was quick to add that this did not imply that the government was unconcerned about the welfare of workers in the private sector. He encouraged dialogue. On another hand, the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries, CZI, has indicated that 82% of local companies will not be able to pay salaries beyond a month without production taking place. CZI is urging the government to lift the restrictions and allow companies to resume limited operations whilst observing precautions such as social distancing, hygiene, and staff screening. The organization reported that although the lockdown was necessary, its implementation should have considered the state of the economy and government's capacity to bail out companies. To fully understand Zimbabwe's position, we need to look at what is happening elsewhere. Governments around the world have implemented economic and tax relief packages to help businesses and workers mitigate the impact of lockdowns. Tax packages adopted by other governments range from direct payments, grants, tax holidays, and other tax reliefs such as reduction of tax rates, tax credits, or rebates. For example, Norway has temporarily reduced its VAT rate from 12% to 8%, with VAT payments postponed. The UK Chancellor of Exchequer who is equivalent to the finance minister here, has announced extraordinary measures to help workers and companies through the COVID-19 pandemic. The government will cover 80% of the salaries of workers who would otherwise be laid off. This means that workers can retain their jobs even if their employers are not able to pay them. The Chancellor also announced steps that are meant to help tenants and self-employed workers. These measures are initially open for a period of 3 months, but may be extended if need be. As Zimbabwe, we still have a long way to go. It is evident that both business and the government of Zimbabwe do not have capacity to sustain the cost of a total lockdown. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. You can also like, share, or leave a comment below.